to talk about your undergraduate work. So can you give us some information about you, where you went to undergrad, what did you study?
All right, and I'll also try to make it full circle. So I went to Carleton College, a small liberal arts college in Northfield, Minnesota. The school, the student population was roughly 2,200. Only 1,700 stayed on campus at any given trimester.
Sounds like Dillard.
I'm sure your winters were much better.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Ooh, yes, that New Orleans weather. You know, it was a little humid and muggy, but definitely not cold and
My,
snowy.
my
Mm-mm.
first semester was -50. I wasn't even used to zero, and that was 50 below zero.
It doesn't get that cold here in State College, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Um, so I went to this college because I had received a full tuition scholarship, which I was very blessed to have from the Posse Foundation. And while I was there, prior to marking the decision, and this was in the time where I was applying to every college or trying to get in as much college as I possibly could, I had wanted to be a biomedical engineer. That reason was because my high school had a focus on healthcare professions, and I also wanted to apply some engineering background. But as it turns out, I went to a liberal arts college. And for anyone out there that knows what it means to go to liberal arts college in terms of a specific vocation, there are none. There hardly are any. They train you for a PhD, and they stayed very true to the purest forms of disciplines: biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, psychology, for example.
Yeah, I didn't understand the difference between a liberal arts college and I don't know what would the alternative type of college be called.
I think just a regular college. I think a liberal arts college is a specific kind of
Okay.
college.
Well, me going into because Dillard is also a liberal arts college, and I didn't realize what that meant until much later in me getting my undergraduate degree that there were other places that had more specific majors. Like some people, even here at Penn State, right? There are students who major in animal science. There are people who major in neuroscience, people who major in plant science.
Right.
All I had at Dillard was biology, as you were just stating. So yeah.
That's very true. At least how they try to explain it to me, a liberal arts college is designed to give students a liberal arts worldview, which is one that is constantly seeking innovation, constantly trying to gain new knowledge, analyze the world, shape your own path through rationale. It just so happens that it conflicted with my original goal. At that point, I needed to pick a degree, and so I really enjoyed chemistry. And if there's anyone out there that's watching that took a degree in chemistry, what sold me was organic chemistry.
That's what sold you on chemistry?
That's what sold me on chemistry. It really is like the breaking point. Either you love it, you really, really love it, or you really, really hate it. And it I don't know, I like puzzles, or I like mind games, or like problem solving. I necessarily don't like math. I'm okay with math, but organic chemistry doesn't utilize a whole lot of math, so it sold me.
Everyone has their niche. Everyone was created to do something. I'm not saying that I don't like organic chemistry, but I just don't understand it. So
um, so that is how I got into chemistry. Now, to make the link between my chemistry degree and environmental, because environmental career path or trajectory, because that comes later, I had taken an internship 1 year. The goal of that internship was to connect marginalized community members with their local school boards or local representatives for like school boards and or the city hall, to share their experiences of their children in the education system. And these are the locations where the education system was, their school system was rated poorly compared to everyone else in terms of funding, and also was very segregated schools or such. Like, not schools were segregated, but you can clearly tell that this was a Black school, this was a Hispanic school, and there wasn't much diversity. My next internship, I went, I just dove right in. I sought an internship in Berlin, Germany, which was the most advanced in terms of environmental policy in the world, as it stands. I sought an internship there working for a renewable energy investment company to see, and I worked with them as their policy analyst, foreign policy analyst for a summer. Do not ask me how I got that. That was a stroke of luck. But everything lined up, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm looking at your transition time. Is that junior and senior year where you really started to test out, is the environmental thing like your thing? To now, and in the future you will be going into environmental law. So I look at all of that, including now, as your transition.
Okay, so I have done a number of informational interviews during all of this time, even to now. And I need to constantly hear multiple perspectives on the career path that I want to go into. I think of my career as a part of, and I mentioned before, like I use the word life now because I think about it constantly, as a part of the legacy that I'm leaving behind to my children, to my community, my people. It's when you think about when I one day eventually like pass away, I at least wanted to know that I made a difference in some way, and for the better. Um, So when I was looking into this job, I tested this career path out for 2 years in undergraduate before just finally agreeing that, okay, this is what I would do, because I did not want to have that regret. And not saying that people need to have a regret. It's just that in my personal belief, that life is like too short, and I want to make the most of it. I can take some time to figure it out, but every step needs to be towards figuring it out. I think very similar to that liberal arts background that we were saying. So I think
Yes, I can agree.
um, so always is constantly trying to learn more about your field. Even when you're in your field, there's always more to learn. Always constantly trying to hear the perspectives of other people. You may never reference that perspective. Maybe you will. Anything and everything can help. I would say that networking as well. Like all this would not have been possible without a lot of networking and cold calling. Oh yes, cold calling or cold emailing works. People forgot about that ancient trick, but it actually works. I will say that people love it when someone emails them and say, "Hello, I saw your profile, or I heard you are amazing, and I want to hear more about what you do." Everyone loves to hear that, and maybe they might not have time to talk with you that day or that week, but they they may have time with you, talk to you a month. So just keep connecting with them. There have been a number of times where I was connecting with some lawyers that said they were helping me out, but they constantly forgot about me. But whenever we got on the phone, they would be more than helpful at all time, just because they were busy.
Yeah, people have busy lives, and sometimes you have to be that advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
Because I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yes. Um, Another thing to highlight connections and how that helped me to get my current job. Because this job that I have right now, believe it or not, is somewhat selective. A small company, but tiny but mighty. Um, at the end of my internship in Boston with the Environmental Defense Fund, I had done a number of informational interviews within the city. Three that were very notable were that I had met with the president for a cup of coffee of another partner NGO to EDF called the Environmental League of Massachusetts, and we just hit it off really well. From an informational interview, I was not asking her, can you hire me? I wasn't asking, I'm looking for a job. I just sat there and said, I'm looking for some advice on a career path and hoping if you can connect me with your networks to help me figure out where I can stay in Boston. I didn't ask her specifically for a job. That ended up turning into an opportunity for me that I did not take at the time, but she had drafted out an entire 2-year fellowship just for me, um, to work as her mentee, fully funded. Um, like for me, she didn't have funding at the time, which is why I ultimately chose Ceres, who she also works closely with in Boston. But she ended up helping me get the current job that I already had. Some lawyers that I met with in Boston as well, by just complete randomness. One of the lawyers of this company was an alum from my school. His partner was a student of my current boss right now. The president of ELM, Elizabeth, my current boss, was on her NGO's board.
Wow, the connections, this small world after all.
Small world after all. And then just eventually, if you connect more, you will find that you have more connections with a particular person that you want to meet with. And then last connection as well was that the person that worked for the company, I figured this out afterwards, that worked for the company that had the position that I have right now, the former person was an alum from my school.
Look at that.
But you need to utilize your networks. Your networks are your key. People have connections with other people that will eventually get you the job. So by the time that I met with my boss, I already knew a lot about her, more than she thought I would. I knew the key words that would grab her attention, and how to emphasize my resume just right, that she would be impressed.